Lavell Crawford could make you laugh until you split your sides. But did you know his entire 3-decade-long career is based on a random stroke of luck? Let's take a look at the life of a Black Hollywood comedian who lives larger than life itself. From shocking news about his dad to the real reason he makes fun of himself on stage, Lavell's comedy is a lot deeper than we think it is. Also, get an exclusive look at his multi-million-dollar celebrity mansion. Lavell is most popular for his long-running role in Breaking Bad and his split-your-sides funny stand-up sets over the years. It was his most notable role, and it began in 2011 when he was cast as Huel Babineau, the bodyguard and henchman for Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad. He had a consistent role on the show until 2022, and a quick appearance again in Better Call Saul, the prequel to Breaking Bad. He became a fan favorite on the shows because he added a comedic twist to the otherwise high-intensity heavy material of the rest of the show. His perfect comedic timing radiated through the character he was playing. As minor as his role was to the whole narrative, he still managed to gain a substantial fandom in the audience because he was so skilled at adding comedy and depth to his role. In 2013, the character he played even got its own movie short called Huel's Rules, because the audience just couldn't get enough of the man. After that, he became a media Easter egg in film and television, making small and potent appearances in films and TV that made you laugh just at the sight of him on screen, even when he didn't have any lines. These include American Ultra, Meet the Blacks, and Boo! A Medea Halloween. From all of his appearances in films and television and his popular comedy sets over the years, he's managed to amass a net worth of nearly $1.5 million. Lavell Maurice Crawford was born on November 11, 1968, in St. Louis, Missouri. He was raised by his single mother, Anita, alongside his two sisters. They struggled a lot financially, but she worked hard to make sure there was always food on the table. His father, Lavell Crawford, a bodybuilder and gym owner, left the family when he was young, leading to a strained relationship that would later become material for his comedy. Keep an eye out for the crazy turn that takes. Growing up, Lavell struggled with weight issues. He ate a lot to cover up his feelings, and it began to affect his school life, and eventually, his food addiction became a positive feedback loop. When he was bullied for his weight, he would just eat more to help with his sadness. But of course, as is the case with most comedians, he found that making fun of his own weight helped him deflect negative comments from people about it, and as he grew older, his natural talent for making people laugh was his tool to make people disregard his greatest insecurity. Lavell was doing pretty well for himself academically, and after graduating high school, he went to Missouri Western State College to study computer science. After graduating, he felt like he'd put his talents on the back burner and wanted to give himself a chance at a career in comedy. In 1990, he took to the stage and started doing sets in local clubs and open mic nights in St. Louis. Lavell was an extremely comedic storyteller, and he quickly became popular with audiences. He showed up on BET's Comic View a lot in the 90s, and every time he came on, he got better and better, and his audience grew larger. However, it was his appearance on NBC's Last Comic Standing in 2007 that brought him national recognition. Finishing as the runner-up, Crawford's exposure on the show opened numerous doors, leading to more prominent gigs and television appearances. Following his success on Last Comic Standing, Lavell's career took off. He began performing at major comedy clubs across the country and appeared on several television shows. But these roles didn't require quite as much of his own personal experiences and comedy to pull off. Even though it was still in his style of comedy, his stand-up sets are what attracted him to his audience the most, after discovering that he had an entire acting career behind his minor acting role. After people discovered this, Lavell Crawford became perhaps best known for his stand-up comedy. His specials, including Lavell Crawford, Can a Brother Get Some Love?, Lavell Crawford, Home for the Holidays, and Lavell Crawford, new look, same funny, have been well received. These specials highlight Crawford's ability to engage his audience with his unique blend of humor, tackling subjects from personal experiences to social commentary. His comedy often involves themes of family, weight, race, and everyday life, resonating with a diverse audience. He often tells his jokes in a relatable manner, and people are attracted to his honesty, even if it happens to be at his expense. A lot of people say his personality and cultural experience is the reason he's so funny. He's popular with African American audiences because he sounds just like that one uncle who won't stop talking, and is still really funny too. But his comedy doesn't rub all people the same way, and the motivations behind his jokes are surprisingly depthful. Stick around to find out what jokes almost got him beat up or even killed, and find out the motivations behind some of the themes of his jokes. Find out the life story and motivations behind your favorite Black Hollywood stars by clicking the subscribe button and notification bell. In an incident during a show in Atlanta, Lavell made a joke about a couple in the audience. The joke was, in retrospect, highly insensitive and featured joking about sexual assault. Even though Lavell and Cat Williams are relatively on good terms, this may be the only arena in which they completely differ. Cat finds jokes about sexual assault to never be funny and always impermissible, if not personal. In this specific incident, Lavell pointed at a larger man in the crowd and his girlfriend and made a joke, implying there was no way she was with him consensually and that he had been sexually assaulting her. She protested the claims during the show, but then things quieted down until his set was over. However, after the show, the man, who was even larger than Lavell could ever predict, approached him after the show and threatened to beat him up. However, he reportedly pretended to be afraid of him and apologized for the joke. This happens a lot when comedians who sometimes have a crass comedy style make jokes at the expense of their audience members when doing crowd work. Lavell tends to get himself into the most trouble when he does this. But Lavell's public perception is largely positive. He's a relatable and down-to-earth comedian who uses humor to address serious issues. Fans appreciate his honesty and the way he incorporates his life story into his comedy. Crawford's weight loss journey, in particular, has been inspirational to many. He underwent a significant transformation after undergoing gastric sleeve surgery, which he discussed openly in interviews and on stage. But stick around to hear more on that later. Lavell's comedy style is characterized by its relatability and physical humor. He often draws from his personal experiences, using his struggles and triumphs as material for his routines. His comedy is deeply rooted in his identity and experiences, making his performances both authentic and engaging. He excels in observational humor, finding comedy in everyday situations. Whether he's talking about family dynamics, societal issues, or personal health, his ability to see the humor in the mundane resonates with audiences. This style allows him to connect with people from different backgrounds. A significant portion of Crawford's comedy revolves around self-deprecation, particularly concerning his weight. He uses his size as a comedic tool, often making jokes about his eating habits, health issues, and the challenges of being a large man. Most people find it funny, but in some incidents, people accuse him of promoting stereotypes about fat people. As an overweight person himself, it can sometimes feel a little played up when he makes jokes about fat people having better taste, gorging on food mindlessly, and never being active. He sometimes makes jokes about how even in a situation where most people would leave, like meeting a rude waiter or being approached by protesters in a Chick-fil-A, fat people would love the food too much to leave. This can feel a bit stereotypical and insensitive, but most of the time he's projecting his own personal experience of being overweight, not necessarily claiming that all overweight people are that way. Lavell is a master storyteller. He starts out by talking about something that actually happened in his life before expanding on it through comedy and making his point. This storytelling ability makes his comedy feel like a conversation, drawing the audience into his own little world. Most of his sets are honey, which can't be said for a lot of comedians who have to make up a lot of unlikely stories to wind together some sort of narrative for us to hold on to. Even though it gets him in trouble, his crowd work is a pretty important and equally hilarious part of his sets. It gives him the chance to make lighthearted and sometimes not so lighthearted fun of the people in his audience, and adds a little tension to the room about who might be picked next. Even from his humble beginnings, he managed to make it to the top and change his life along the way. Growing up in a single-parent household, struggling with obesity, and facing financial difficulties were significant hurdles. But he often claims that without these struggles and experiences, he wouldn't be able to make as relatable of commentary on the world around him as he does now. In 2021, Lavell did a comedy special called Comedy Vaccine, based on the recent troubles he was facing in life as a result of COVID-19 and lockdown. This special was nominated for Best Comedy Album at the Grammy Awards, making it his first formal recognition for his comedic talent from wider Hollywood. Although the album ultimately lost to The Closer by Dave Chappelle, the two comedians have a pretty close friendship and respect for each other in their spaces, and it ended up being an honorable loss. But in the past decade, he's had another significant loss, but this one is nothing to be sad about. Now, Huell may not have had much in the show, but Lavell sure does. Behind the scenes, he's living at large in his private hometown mansion. Want to know how he really lives? Let's take an exclusive look at the home of Lavell Crawford. Lavell doesn't live in your traditional Hollywood star mansion. He stayed true to his roots and bought a house near his hometown in St. Louis. The modest home is in a suburban area, one of the more expensive homes in the area, but it's only modest in style, not in size. The home comes out to be a whopping 6-bedroom and 4-bathroom home, built with the same red brick colonial architecture style of classic American homes in St. Louis. At nearly 5,000 square feet, the home is more than large enough for his family of 5. The home also comes with a modest front lawn and a generous backyard with a porch perfect for cookouts. The outside might remind you of the olden days, but the inside has been modernized beyond recognition since Lavell bought the home. Instead of the brown wood, cherry flooring, and dated shape, the entire interior has been converted to mostly white. This is most obvious in the kitchen, which now features a black marble island, white furniture, and brand new kitchen appliances. The master bedroom of the home leads into a small sunlit office where Lavell can focus on writing jokes for his next sets. The home does not have an exclusive gym. Instead, they have an everything room in the basement, where they keep gym appliances and an extra TV, and the room can also be used as a library. His house is not accessible to the public because it's located in a high-security, private, residential area, the sort of treatment a celebrity needs. The home is valued at nearly $2 million, but as the home his family has shared for a decade, it means a whole lot more to him. Lavell's early career is marked by an overwhelming amount of comedy specifically pertaining to his weight. It was often self-deprecating, but people who were overweight and not found him equally funny, and the former even found him relatable. Lavell has always been overweight. When he was a kid, this affected his sense of self-esteem deeply, and the matter was made worse by how other people treated him. In middle school, kids would call him names and teachers wouldn't stop them. He was the only kid of his size in school, and they would bully him for it, relentlessly calling him Fat Lavell and other such comments. They wouldn't really want to include him in any athletic games. But he found a way to turn this all around for himself. As he grew older, he decided that he would take control of his appearance by accepting himself, incorporating it into his comedy, and not letting any rude comments on it affect him. Eventually, he became more confident in himself. It was almost to the point where his weight was a non-factor in his daily life, especially when it came to his romantic life, where he was previously the most insecure. This newfound confidence was also making him somewhat of an inspiration to other men who were larger in weight. They felt more confident and capable because of how confident and capable Lavell seemed on stage when he discussed his own weight problems. But his weight didn't just affect his confidence. It affected other things in his life that being confident just couldn't fix. He developed heart problems, diabetes risk issues, and physical difficulties. To add to this, society still had an incredible bias against him as an overweight person. In one incident, he was kicked off a plane. Lavell was flying out for a show on one of the only flights there when a flight attendant approached him to say that he needed to get off and be booked on a different plane with fewer passengers because his weight was affecting the total weight of the lane. He was a bit embarrassed and at a crossroads because if he didn't take this flight, he would completely miss the show. After a bit of hustle and bustle and some commentary from other passengers, he agreed to get up and leave. And guess how the passengers responded? The entire plane applauded that he was finally getting off so that they could leave. With all of this medical and societal pressure, he decided that he had no choice but to go on his weight loss journey. He had two choices: surgery or changing his exercise and diet lifestyle. With some apprehensions about the safety of surgery, he chose the natural route. Lavell actually has some interesting and shockingly unexpected hobbies. In his free time, he boxes, runs, and hikes. For the most part, he was pretty active and had a pretty substantial muscle mass from his physical activity. His weight was a result of his relationship with food. In interviews, he claimed the only reason he ate as much as he did was because he felt that food was his only outlet for any extreme emotional feeling. Whether it was depression, boredom, or happiness, the only response he had developed from childhood was to eat, and part of his journey to weight loss was realizing that food wasn't everything, and there were other ways to deal with his emotions in life. In the end, he got surgery that limited his eating to encourage weight loss. He was mostly inspired by his sister after it changed her weight and life. Along with some physical activity to maintain his body shape after the rapid weight loss, he was able to change his life around and take control of his health. Even though he never did, he now often eats vegan food. In 2017, Lavell revealed in an interview that his father, who had left him as a child, was gay. After Lavell was born, his father ran off, leaving his single mother to fend for all of them for over 20 years. When he returned to their life, he made it known that he was gay. By then, his father had married a man and returned to explain why he had left them so long ago. Lavell wasn't very educated about gay people and didn't really understand what that would mean for him personally. Despite the fact that he had plenty of friends in the LGBT community, he felt like it still wasn't the norm, and this revelation from his father didn't make it easier for him. Seeing that he was a bit confused, his dad gave him the chance to ask questions to clear the air, and after a long conversation, they came to an understanding about what it meant for the both of them. However, he was still resentful because he felt that sexuality should never be a valid reason to stay away from your own children. He felt abandoned by his father, and this led to some internal conflict in his ability to create a strong relationship with him. His father passed away in 2015. Because of his understanding of the community and his experience with his father, Lavell felt like gay jokes were just too easy, because it's often easier to get a laugh out of a general audience when the joke is directed at an otherwise marginalized community. Instead, he feels like it should be personal and have a point. When he made the comment, "It's still weird," during the interview, he came under fire on social media for claiming that LGBT people were not normal, and he later had to apologize by rephrasing his statement to clarify that he meant that most people still didn't understand it, and the openness of them in popular media is still pretty recent. Lavell has 2 sons and 1 daughter with his wife, Lavell Crawford. They've been married for over 14 years. Lavell has spent most of her life as a stay-at-home mom, but she also works in fashion retail on the side. Their son LJ was born in 2010, and his other 2 children, who are in their 20s, are from a previous relationship. He keeps their lives extremely private because he doesn't like what fame does to young children in the spotlight. For the most part, he aimed to give them a pretty normal life. Click on the next video to dive into the life story of another Black Hollywood legend. Whose life would like to explore next? Comment down below.